Let me ask you something, which is, have you ever wondered if spirits can be fooled? Can something as simple as seeds, spirals, numbers, nuts can keep a spirit restless and occupied all night long? What if I told you that this isn't just a folklore, this is actually some type of magic? This is a technique used by witches and cunning folk for centuries. The video that I have for you today has been inspired by one of you, someone who wanted to explore the art of tricking spirits. And honestly, this is such a fascinating topic. I have been researching for this video for the past 2 weeks, witches, and I have been in such rabbit holes. Across different traditions, spirits, especially mischievous and restless ones, are said to be obsessed with counting. And if you know how to use this towards your advantage, you can trap, divert, slow down a spirit that has been sent to harm you. Or you can even manipulate it to work on your behalf. If this is something that interests you, stick around because I am so excited. It's coming up right now. Hi witches, blessed be. This is White Raven over here. Today I am here in my witchy room. I know that many of you guys have missed the room. No, I did not change it. I actually have another witchy room. No, I should say another filming room. That's the other room that I'm using lately. Thank you so much, all of you guys that have been writing to me, asking me about my witchy room. Standing here, this is where I do my magic. This is where I have my altar. This is the room. I'm glad that you're here today. Again, my name is White Raven. I am here to teach you magic from my perspective because I love it. I love teaching. I love sharing with you what I learn. And here I am. If this is something that interests you, please do not leave without subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you can get my videos every Monday. I'm here every Monday. I'm teaching you spells and a lot of teaching witches. Lately, I've been teaching a lot. Today, we're going to be mixing a little bit of the paranormal with spirituality. And I think it's fascinating. As a witch, these are things that you need to know. And I am so happy to share with you. Also, remember that I have a beautiful website, whiteravenandwitcheslayer.com, in which I not only have products, by the way, I put a new oil there last night. Go check it out. But I also have a lot of blogs that you can read and they're simple, they're short. Don't you think that I've been writing there long stuff? No. They're simple, they're short, and they're there for you to learn. So check it out, whiteravenandwitcheslayer.com. That is actually also where you will be contacting me if you have a magical question. You can also go to my Facebook page, White Raven and Witcheslayer, and you can message me there as well. There you go, that's my information. I do not work for people. Now you know, so let's get into our topic. Many cultures believe that some spirits have the tendency to count things, sort of like a spiritual, obsessive-compulsive situation. Witches, cunning folk, spiritualists, magicians, and brujas have been using this technique for a long time, centuries, witches. And this is used for many different reasons. Some of the reasons is to stall a spirit that want to come into their house. And what they do, they make them count objects instead. So they take their very sweet time, slow them down to enter in your house. You can also trap these spirits in constant loops to prevent them from harming you. And you can also use this towards your advantage by utilizing their compulsiveness towards your benefit to make them do your bidding. So now let's talk about something that is mundane, but we're going to link it today to the spiritual world. This is called arithmomania. Psychologically speaking, this is a real condition in which people that have arithmomania feel compulsed to count absolutely everything they see. Can you imagine? Tell me if you know somebody that has this disorder. Put it in the comments down below. I would love to know because I have never met anybody like that. Some people believe that these concepts apply not just to humans, but also to the spirits, especially those that are trapped between worlds and that are bound by magical rules. Which is, there's a lot to talk about all these things, but I'm just going to leave that part here. Otherwise, this video legit is going to take me 10 hours. So let's just continue. These can explain why some spirits can get caught in a loop when presented with scattered grains or or seeds, tangled cords, or some numbers. There is an old vampire legend that says that some vampires are obsessed with counting spilled grains of rice. I'm going to link in the description of this video the new version, okay? It's a new version, it's in Google, but I'm going to link it in the description of this video. It's pretty cool for you to see what's going on with that vampire that is just caught in that arithmomania, and he has to count everything that, all the seeds that he encountered in his path, prohibiting him from attacking his victim. It's going to be a link in the description of the video. I've never heard of it, but it's very popular. And also, food for thought, which is, have you ever noticed that we have Count Von Count in Sesame Street? Perhaps Count Von Count from Sesame Street is linked to this folklore story. Food for thought. So let me tell you now what you will learn in this video. Today we're diving deep into the history of this belief. Which spirits can be tricked and which ones cannot be tricked. I'm going to give you some examples and how you can use these techniques in your own practice. We will also explore what happens when this method backfires and why some spirits may be smarter than what we think. So, without further ado, let's get into this fascinating and exciting topic. So the first thing that I want to discuss is why this works. I'm going to share with you some folk stories, and we already addressed vampires and their arithmomania condition. And it is said that some witches in certain Italian traditions are known to have similar compulsions. So to escape one of these witches, you can hand her a red carnation, compelling her to count the petals, providing a chance for you to escape. Also, in some American folklore, hanging sieves by doorways was believed to ensnare witches, as they will be forced to count every single hole in that sieve before entering your threshold. I really like that idea. That will probably be something that will be adding in my protection rituals. I know, call it crazy, but that makes total sense to me. In Chinese folklore, Jiangxi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, it is said that hopping vampires are distracted by counting small things. And here these are witches. Placing a bag of rice or coins in their path will compel them to count each item, delaying their advance. There's a lot of really interesting, there's so much folklore out there, which is, I wanted to give you so many examples because this was so fascinating, this topic, and I invite you, this is for me to tickle your brain so you can do your own research, but it's fascinating, so fascinating. There were so many things I wanted to add in here. And so there is the idea of obsession disorders in the spiritual realm. It is believed that some spirits are bound by order and rules. It is also believed that numerology and numbers have high significance in the spiritual world. Some spirits are linked to specific numbers, and there is also the idea on how odds or even numbers could affect spirits. There are also psychological and energetic theories. Since spirits are energetic patterns and they could get trapped in repetitive loops. I know this is really deep, so I'm just trying to be as simple as possible. I personally think that perhaps the idea comes from us because we want to try to make some type of sense out of the spiritual world. So now let's talk now about cultural and historical context when it comes to trickster magic. In ancient Europe and Slavic folklore, we already know that vampires are said to have some obsession with counting things. It is also believed that some fairies and malevolent spirits can be distracted by making them count holes in calendars that you also hang around your property. In China and East Asia, it is believed that some spirits cannot pass certain numbers. And I want to tell you a story about this. The number 4, for example, is considered a really unlucky number because its phonetic similarity to the word for death. Some people believe that placing 4 objects, such as stones, coins, and so on, in places in which you think a spirit can enter, will create a barrier and the spirit will not be able to pass through. Many of you guys know that I used to say jewelry, and I remember that about 90% of my Asian or Chinese clients will never buy any ring close to 4 carats in diamonds because the number is such a bad luck luck. They will not do it. It will not happen. Forget about it. Anything that had a 4 on it was a big no-no when it came to engagement ring and wedding rings and so on and so forth. So it's very strong. They believe that number 4 is a very bad number. In Latin America and in brujeria, it is believed that some spirits sometimes need to finish some task before they can hurt someone. For example, scattering rice or salt around your thresholds is thought to compel the spirit to count each grain before even entering the house of the target. This is also seen across the board, which is from a Native American folklore, Indian folklore, African and Hoodoo traditions, Middle Eastern and Islamic beliefs, German, Slavic, Romani, Gypsy. It is everywhere, witches. Now let's touch on the topic that I think is really important, because what spirits can be tricked? So there's going to be a list of spirits that can be tricked. There's also a list of spirits that can and cannot, maybe, maybe not. And there's a list of spirits that you do not want to play with. So let's start with the spirits that are easy to be tricked. Restless spirits, those are entities that are attached and stuck between worlds. And they're also very attached to human activity and human patterns. Vampiric or energy draining spirits. Some fae, some duendes, and many trickster spirits. Not all, but many. Low-level spirits, unintelligent spirits, human ghosts, and there's many more. Now let's talk about the spirits that cannot be tricked. Okay, so don't be fooled. These cannot be tricked. More intelligent and powerful demon entities, like for example, the ones in the Goetia, Christian and Middle Eastern demonology, those cannot be tricked, witches. Since these spirits aren't bound by compulsions. They often work with willpower and contracts, meaning counting won't slow them down. Obviously, ancestors, and benevolent spirits. Spirit of the departed loved ones or ancestor spirits do not typically have obsessive compulsions. If any, they may clear away such traps rather than be affected by them. And it's disrespectful, which is so disrespectful. Elemental spirits, fire, water, air, and earth. We're talking about salamanders, undines, gnomes, sylphs. They're deeply tied to their element and they generally do not exhibit any behavior associated with obsessive counting, since they interact based on energy balance rather than compulsion. These are very advanced, very deep spirits, witches. You can manipulate them. Deities and gods. I don't have to tell you this, but deities and gods. They operate in higher level of consciousness, witches, and they will not be distracted with something as silly as a seed trap. I also want to add spirits like Marie Laveau, a lot of folk saints, Mi Madama. Like there's so many spirits that cannot be bound by these types of traps. Now, shadow beings and thought forms, and we discussed this about 3 or 4 weeks ago in my shadow people video, because these creatures are not bound to spiritual rules the way spirits and ghosts and all these other beings are. Needless to say, archangels like Michael Archangel, and as a matter of fact, all the archangels cannot be bothered with these things. Folk spirits and folk deities like La Santísima Muerte, don't even try. I mean, good luck if you do. Papa Legba, he's master of tricks himself. Trying to trick in Papa Legba will be the most pointless thing you'll ever do. He's going to see right through it immediately. And also, I just want to add Elegua. There's some other spirits that are found very interesting, and these are called the spirits with a mission. And I'm going to give you some examples. So these are going to be some guardian spirits and divine enforcers. So let me give you some examples. The Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is a spirit that has a mission. A Banshee, La Llorona. Black dog spirits, and this is going to be in British and Irish traditions. Also, there's this particular dog. So I find this so fascinating. I needed to share all this with you. There is this dog called de Cadejo, and this belonged to Central America traditions. Some duendes, and duendes are goblin-like spirits in Spanish. Some of them can be tricked but some other ones are bound by a specific purpose, a task. And that's what they do. So they could be linked to guard a treasure, or they could be out there to punish rule breakers. They have their purpose, so they cannot be tricked. So intelligent and malicious entities that cannot be tricked and know that they're tricking them can turn this against you, meaning they see through all this deception and they will punish those who try to deceive them. I have some other examples that I want to share with you, and I'm only doing this because I know I have people from many different countries and I want to mention some of the spirits from this particular country. So bear with me, perhaps you have heard of this, perhaps you haven't, and now you know. There's this one called El Sombrerón, meaning like with a big hat. And this is from Guatemala and Mexico. I see it perhaps like the hat man over here, but yeah, it's called El Sombrerón. And this is a supernatural spirit obsessed with women's long hair. If someone tries to deceive him, he's going to escalate his attacks. And he will be hunting your dreams. In the Philippines, there is a spirit called the Manananggal. And believe it or not, this is a vampiric creature, but unlike European vampires, this creature is not bound by any type of compulsions. It's not on account of anything. Luckily, even though these traps are not going to work on this particular spirit, it is believed that salt and garlic will. In Argentina, there's this particular being called El Familiar. And guys, if you are from any of these countries and if you recognize the spirits that I'm talking about, I would love for you to give me some information in the comments. I really would love to know. But then again, in Argentina, there is one called El Familiar. And this is a very nasty demonic entity that will grant you favors in exchange for sacrifices. So this is a pretty nasty entity. And now let's talk about what happens if you try to trick the wrong spirit. So you're obviously going to get backfires and consequences. This is going to be a lot of misfortune. So you're going to lose money, you're going to lose your job, unexplained accident, electrical issues, a lot of feeling of oppressions. This is going to be the same list as when your house has been hunted by a spirit. The huntings are going to be escalated. So if you had a hunting, now you're going to have 3 times as worse the problem. There's going to be a lot of spiritual blockages, sudden inability to connect with your ancestors and your spirits, your vision, your spiritual vision, your third eyes closing, your intuition fades, your magic weakens. Of course, you can have physical illnesses, and sometimes these illnesses are just not good illnesses, which is, I'm not talking about a cold, I'm not talking about a headache, I am talking about serious illnesses. Some spirits may even get very angry if they realize that you are tricking them. For example, the jinn. The jinn is a highly intelligent creature, does not appreciate being tricked. I'm gonna add over here, I learned a long time ago, and I think it was in Judica Iles' book in the Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was another book, but it was from Judica Iles, that you can appease the jinn by telling it stories. Even though they could be tricked, I don't think that is something that you want to do, because if they realize that you did, it's just not going to be a pretty picture. Also, witches, and this is for a lot of people out there that are new and they like to dabble in witchcraft without knowing so many things. There's a lot of people that like to trick spirits through the Ouija board. Don't want to do that. Do not be tempted to do something like that, because that is asking for a lot of trouble. So my final thoughts are, witches, know who you're dealing with. Not every spirit can be fooled, trap, or stall. Some are immune to this type of trickery, and some become very vengeful if tricked. So be very smart and know what you're doing. Attempting to manipulate or deceive the wrong entity can lead to serious consequences. If you're going to work with spirits, be smart. Be also respectful and know when a trick is not a good idea. In my personal opinion, after doing all the research that I have been doing in the past weeks, I think tricking a spirit is very smart. It's very intelligent. If you think somebody's sending you, for example, a monitoring spirit, or they're sending you a trickster spirit just to drive you crazy, just to scare you at night, I think putting seeds and doing tricks to lure the spirits, if you're going to protect yourself, I think it's a great idea. You have nothing to lose, which is when you are protecting yourself. But please be very mindful trying to deceive a spirit to do your bidding, and you try to outsmart a very smart spirit. Okay, so now that we know how to be careful, how can we use this in our magic? How can we adapt this and implement into our magic? First, it's really important that you know that if you're going to be using seeds to distract and to slow down any type of spiritual attack, do not break the seeds. The seeds needs to be intact. It's not powder, it's the seeds, okay? Which is, you can put rice, poppy seeds, black mustard seeds, black sesame seeds, there's flax seeds, there's so many seeds that you can pour around your thresholds. Of course, the best locations are going to be, again, thresholds like door entry, window sills, and also problematic areas like, for example, the attic, the basement, you know what I mean. You can also use knot magic and thread work. And what I'm saying is that you will knot cords and you tangle them up to keep spirits occupied. Written numbers and sigils. You can use repetitive numbers. You can write them down or do sigils. And sigils could totally be transparent, which is you do not have to physically write sigils in your environment. You can go with your wand or with your power finger and do the sigils in the air, okay? You can also use mirror traps, and mirror traps are mirrors that are looking at each other, so they're reflecting each other's. Unintelligent spirits are very lured by those things, and they will get trapped in that little loop. Spirits will be mesmerized and allured by loop videos. Also, number sequences. So those are things that you can add on into your environment to protect yourself. Now let's talk about protection and warnings. And which is next Monday, I'm going to add a lot more to this video. It's going to be the second part. And we're going to talk a lot more about protection and warnings. But what to do if the spirit realizes the trick. And listen, when in doubt, always consult your divination tools. You can use a pendulum and ask questions. You can use your tarot cards to ask questions. But what to do if you think that spirits has realized what you're doing? Have a backup protection method in place. Know what to do. So you have plan A, have a plan B. Keep banishing materials around you. That's plan C. Okay, salt, iron, black salt. There's so many things that we have spoken about in my videos in this channel. Just make sure that you also have vanishing things with you. And if you're going to do a spirit trap, like in a spiral, for example, make sure that you get rid of it. You do not keep any of that at home. Okay, witches. Let's wrap this up. Enough talking for today. I hope you like the video and you enjoy the information. Tricking spirits have been used for centuries. No question about it. Successfully. Some spirits will fall for it and some spirits will not. Sometimes the trick may even backfire on you. So you must be careful. And this is not just with this, which is with everything in magic. I'm not trying to scare you doing this. I think this is something that's very doable and you can definitely do. But you must know what spirits are you working with and what to do and what not to do. Please let me know if you have ever tried to trick a spirit, to bribe a spirit to do your bidding, for example. Did it work for you? If you care to share, please do not hesitate to leave it in a comment down below because I would love to know. I love it. I appreciate it. So leave me any stories down below. And now remember, which is that next week we are going to be talking about what happened if the spirits finish counting the seats. What do we have to do and what's going to happen? That is what I have for you next Monday. So please make sure to be here with me next Monday. I will love to have you in this discussion that I find so fascinating. And that's it, which is I really hope that you love this video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you took notes. I'm going to try to link as many links in the description of this video. This information was extremely scattered and there were snippets. What I found were snippets here, snippets there, and article articles, really big articles that only have a couple of sentences on it. So I'm going to try to link in the description of the video as much as I can so you guys can check it out. This is why knowledge is power, witches. The world of witchcraft, this is a never-ending learning process. This is why I tell you that knowledge is power. Please, if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Go visit my website, whiteribbonandwitcheslayer.com. Visit me in Facebook. I would love to know from you, witches. Other than that, it is always awesome talking to you, witches. I love my Magic Mondays. Make sure to study and stay smart. But above all, you must stay so very wicked. I'll see you Monday, okay? I'll see you here. Bye.